Dr. Ola Brown from the Flying Doctors Healthcare Company joins us. Welcome.
Hi, nice to speak to you today.
All right, same here. Literally, flying doctors, and we're having a lot of Nigerians who want to come back home. What's your take on perhaps some of the evacuation considerations you've been noticing?
Okay, I have to sort of draw a line between medical evacuation and the type of evacuations that we're talking about here. One of the things that our company does, we are an end-to-end healthcare company, but one of the things we do is medical evacuations for people that are very sick. These are more diplomatic evacuations. Listening to the lady that you just spoke to, stuck in Bangalore, and speaking to some of the people that are stuck in other countries, it's a really unfortunate situation, but it's a situation that affects everybody in the world right now. And I think the government has tried to make provisions for evacuation, but as you know, poverty makes everything difficult. Being from a poorer country makes everything difficult. So you can see the developed countries immediately, they mobilize the plane, they don't really care about the cost, they just move all their citizens back, and they have all the money to cater for them properly. But in Nigeria, our oil price has gone down, we have fiscal constraints, we're struggling with a lot of our budgetary issues right now. Our budget was slashed by almost 50%. So it's a lot more difficult in terms of coordinating these evacuations and all the other things that we have to do to make sure that we get on top of this epidemic. And it's an epidemic or a pandemic more that even developed countries are struggling with. They're struggling with coordinating evacuations. They're struggling with treating patients. They're struggling with quarantining patients. And they're having to make very, very agile decisions about what to do with their airports, etc. And Nigeria is faced with those same decisions, only 1% of the money.
Very interesting. But looking at what they will be facing, we have several of them that are here already.
Absolutely.
They have to go through certain processes, and this is a pandemic. What do you think, what kind of protocol should we expect? And this is also to prevent the spread of COVID-19.
So I think the government officials are in the best place to sort of put together those protocols and guidelines. And I don't speak for government in any way. I'm a sort of private citizen and a physician. But I think that that we know that self-isolation didn't work as well as we thought it was going to work. So you remember the initial thing, all the people that came back from London, just stay at home. We trust you people won't go out, and you guys monitor yourselves for two weeks, and then you can come out. Well, the people that came back from London and Germany and all those countries, they didn't quite do that. And this is, a lot of them did. A lot of them did stay at home for 2 weeks, and I think the large majority of them were compliant. But the small minority that were not compliant caused a very big problem for Nigeria, because all of the cases that we have that has now gone to almost 4,000 cases started from those people that had traveled abroad and came back. And, instead of self-isolating for 2 weeks, went to parties and, went to five different states and were coughing on top of everybody.
But tell us about testing. There's several mobile testing that's coming up. There's rapid response. There's the drive-through. What's your take with regards to how we're expanding our capacity?
I think we've been expanding our capacity quite well. And I think we've moved from, I think there were barely any labs to labs in several states. So we've ramped up that number of molecular labs quite quickly. The decision that Nigeria has taken is to only do the PCR test, the polymerase chain reaction test, which is different from all these 5-minute, 10-minute tests that you see in other countries. And the reason why Nigeria has taken that stance is because PCR is a gold standard for testing. And people have been very critical of this decision, but I think that the decision that the authorities have taken is a decision that is, in line with what a lot of countries have taken, which is to only use the gold standard test to avoid too many false positives and false negatives, because of course that causes confusion. If you are positive, if you are actually positive and the test says that you're negative, then you go out and start talking to your family members and go and spread it. And if you're negative and the test tells you that you're positive, then they put you in an isolation center with positive people and you become positive automatically. Ouch. So that's the reason why, in terms of mobile testing and the booths that we've developed, they're not actually for testing, they're for the sample taking. So sample taking is a big bottleneck when it comes to getting tests done efficiently. Some of the labs aren't backed up, they're just not getting enough samples. So what we've done is provide a safer environment, a more sort of box which separates the patient from the tester, So it protects the patient because there's a glass wall between the tester and the patient. And it also saves on PPE. Because when you're testing, when you go to people's houses and test, then you have to change your PPE every single time that you go to the patient's house. Whereas if you're in a glass box, then you wear one PPE and you can test through external gloves and you don't come in contact with the patient. So the advantage of the mobile testing vehicle and the booth is, number one, it saves cost on PPE, and you know there's a global scarcity of PPE. I don't know if you've seen the German doctors protesting. They're doing all these protests in the hospital that even they can't find PPE. And then the second big advantage is we can't have the same level of healthcare worker infections that they had in Europe. You see these ridiculous statistics of 6-7% of healthcare workers getting infected with COVID. If 10% of our healthcare workers get infected in Nigeria, then that's practically all of our doctors gone. So we can't afford that. So the testing booths and testing vehicles protect healthcare workers and save costs on PPE. And those are two things that we really, really need to do right now.
All right. We appreciate your time, Dr. Ola Brown from the Flying Doctors Healthcare Company. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Millicent.